Hello everyone, Russell Wright here, and I wanted to insert a supplementary course to make sure that everybody has a place to start. And I wanted to deal with a misnomer or this false idea that there is a way to research profitable local businesses and local business niches based on keyword alone. There's not, for several reasons. Most of the reason is that every bioregion and local area is different on what can thrive for local demand services and products. The other reason is that it depends on what type of local marketing you're doing. If you're wanting to become a marketer or a marketing campaign, if you're using the old method of local marketing, where you are wanting to get hired to do marketing for a local company, it's very different than the model that we're showing you, which is how to literally own the leads and sell the leads at a local level. We're going to proceed through this presentation. I'm going to show you my safe list of local lead niches that I nominate to be the most likely to succeed. That is, that they're the most profitable and thriving in the current economy. And a lot of these have been taught to me through various research programs and through my local offline marketing mentor. We're going to talk a little bit about that later on. And I know that these are still making huge amount of money when done properly. And what this will do is this will give you a place to start so that you can have a keyword to drop in the research tools rather than just starting from nowhere. Because in our webinars and in our long presentations, we really didn't give you a parameter or a framework or a series of niches that we know are working. And so we're going to do that now. And keep in mind that the top level keywords are really categories that I'm giving you. And when you're dealing with categories, there's many ways to research them. The following local niches are top level categories that are still profitable in this economy, especially when the marketing is done properly and when the pain behind the questions in the market and the unique selling positions are accentuated by the advertising and by the marketing and by, of course, the squeeze pages that you'll be developing with your local lead online presence. Success may vary from area to area, as I said. And you can localize your research by drilling into the general terms that I'm about to show you, in the general niches and professional occupations and services. And you can use the last keyword tool, which is what I use. Or you can use whatever keyword tool you have in your arsenal with varying results. You can expand the niche by using Kraken to look for related markets and related market pains. Just so you know, I always do this. And I'm aware that neither Kraken nor the last keyword tool is included in the Local Leads Empire course, and you do not need them to succeed. In fact, you could probably go out there with any of these niches that I'm giving you and start building a page based on the local theme that we gave you and have pretty good success. Just make sure that you check things like Chimney Sweeper. If you're in Arizona, obviously it doesn't make any sense to try to acquire leads for chimney sweepers because nobody's lighting fires in the desert in summer, right? And the homes don't necessarily have a huge demand for chimney sweepers. On the other hand, you would have to research that to be sure. I always research something before I start going for it. You can further psychoanalyze the pains and the needs of these niches by using the core inception software in course. The software is not yet launched at the time of this recording, but it's very likely that it will be launched shortly, or by the time that you're listening to this. You don't even have to use the software. You can just go find where the questions are, and you can join networkempire.com and read the ISDNA process, which is a course that took me many months to create on how you do really what is corporate research in a market by finding the frequently asked questions and the should ask questions, and then the pain behind the questions. You extract the pain behind the questions, and then you turn those into headlines and conversions and unique selling positions. Accounting, let's get right into that. Accountants and accounting, very top selling, very hot niche. As long as the economy is thriving, even when the economy is not thriving, accountants and accounting will always be there. Think about that. Always going to need bean counters. My accountants are very important to me. Okay, possible reports are painkiller headlines. Are you sick and tired of getting ripped off paying tax to Uncle Sam? Do you pay more than 10% in taxes? These are all converting headlines that my mentor, Carl, has used to successfully close leads and increase the leads being acquired for accountants and for accounting firms at the local level. Attorney and legal help is huge. I have personal contact in the attorney and the bankruptcy and all kinds of industries around law. They break down into several categories. but make sure you understand the pains around every legal tradition. I do recommend breaking down attorneys and local legal leads into their various types of legal issues, such as divorce, so on and so forth. Class action lawsuit, break them down into their unique squeeze pages. Don't try to generalize any of these things, you guys. Awning and deck covering surprised me. It's a very popular and thriving niche business. Possible reports, and again, these types of headlines and questions and pain behind the question headlines and unique selling positions, many of the times they will work across multiple niches. The last patio cover you will ever buy, these types of things. And brand A awning patio cover beats wood patio, hands down. Now notice that in order to write beats a wood patio cover hands down, the author would have needed to know the problem, the challenges with awning versus wood, and that wood was the competitor. So these are things that the ISDNA course teaches you in the other parts of the Network Empire members area. But I'm going to be giving you guys, even if you aren't a member of our complete area, I'll be giving you guys all kinds of insight on how to write and extract headlines in a niche. Background checks and identity. It's a very popular niche. Banking. This is one that surprised me until I saw that Carl has done a lot in the banking industry. But I would give you a warning with this. You're probably going to want to also get involved in online lead acquisition if you're going to do it. Some of the better selling conversions are, why do banks not have bathrooms? And the position on this for a local bank that needed more customers was because most banks and most of the big conglomerate banks don't want you to feel at home. Okay, do you chain your pens down when your friends come over? Okay, remember the old days, and actually I've been to a bank recently that still does that, where the big conglomerate, they don't want you to steal their pens. Okay, and so the idea is that the big conglomerates are so miserly that they don't even bother to give you, they're all worried, if they're worried about a pen, how are they going to help you grow your money, right? So, you know, that was a very successful campaign, but it was done through offline postcards blasted to the local area. Bonding companies, something I know nothing about. Possible reports and painkiller headlines. Okay, I'm not even going to read this headline, but this is more of a report-based headline that was extracted out of a ISDNA type process, which is the kind that I teach my students at our $15,000 certification events, but I also teach them in the ISDNA course at networkempire.com. This is a surety letter. Builder. Possible reports. 7 questions remodeling contractors hope and pray you'll never ask. So builder's still a hot area. You can definitely acquire leads. They definitely want the leads. And you can do it offline and online. Here's a common headline. The fairy tales you'll hear from new home builders, even honest ones. Okay, this is something that you can use, that type of headline. You can use that in many, many niches. It's not limited to builders and contractors. Carpet cleaning. This is still hot and will probably always be hot as long as we have domestic opportunity. And when you're in the local niches and you're acquiring local leads, remember that you have a huge opportunity in domestic lead aggregation and lead acquisition where you don't have that in the big SEO projects. Possible reports, free comprehensive reports. Don't let this happen to your carpet was a campaign that I designed that never went live, but it was really showing a mess that happened by an unprofessional carpet cleaner that came in and didn't know what they were doing and didn't have any kind of certification. So certification and qualifications are a huge way to pull in leads for the lead industry or niche that you're going to sell to. Chimney sweepers. Again, be careful with this one because not every place, like hot tropical areas, don't have chimneys. So just make sure. I know it seems obvious, but I have to cover myself here. When I say before and after example, we're talking about if you were trying to become a marketer or get hired by a local by a local company, a local small business, you would want to compare the cruddy website that they have with the great squeeze pages that we're showing you how to build. China importer. I don't know much about this, but this is a hot local business. And here's a headline that was used in a very, very successful campaign for a local Chinese importer. Chiropractor. Now, what I learned from Carl is that chiropractic is a huge industry that breaks down in almost 16 categories. Back pain, herniated discs, spinal compression, nerve compression, fibromyalgia, neck pain, headache, wrist, arthritis, asthma. Okay, so you can grab this for later if you're interested in grabbing chiropractic leads. Chiropractors spend a lot of money on marketing, so it's really a hot niche. You can definitely pull them in. But this tip here is huge. Get specific. Like build a separate landing page for back pain chiropractic than you would for spinal decompression, and you'll be very, very happy that you did that. Closet organizers. This is something that I've recently discovered is going through the roof right now. This is what I would consider a hot niche. I know somebody whose wife does this, and I know several other, I made contact with several other people who are doing really, really well, not just in the closet organizer area, but also the personal styling and personal dress code organizing, where they combine closet organization with personal style. So client idea guides, pictures paint, pictures paint 1,000 words, before and after, that kind of things. Computer hardware, possible reports or painkiller headlines. Okay, computer hardware is hot. You are not going to go, you're not going to run out of people to talk to you about computer hardware, and you're not going to run out of people who are looking for the best deal and who need their pain addressed. You really want to position, you want to position the pain of losing data with computer hardware, backup, these types of things on your squeeze page. Copiers, possible reports or painkiller headlines. Hate your copiers? Repair issues. CPA, it's a hot market right now. You can capture leads for that market. Here's a postcard that was successfully used by Carl. Most people think accountants are too expensive. We agree. Credit services, possible reports or painkiller headlines, before and after. Daycare, this is a huge one. Here's a campaign that did well. Have you had enough daycares that believe macaroni and cheese is actually one of the 4 major food groups? These types of things. Another huge thing is standards within the daycare industry. For example, certification and screening their child care workers for sex offenders. These are huge things that you don't know until you get into the pain behind the questions in that industry. Dentistry and dental. I learned that Groupon is a huge part of the dental and dentist industry. You probably don't even want to get into it without looking into Groupon, which we're going to fill you in on. Direct mail marketing, possible reports and painkiller headlines. Be careful with this one. You might want to couple up or pair up with a printer, joint venture with a printer. Elder care is a booming industry. People are getting older. People want their parents to be well taken care of. Energy. Solar is actually a huge one, and that falls under energy. Okay, anything in the energy is one of the major macro trends. All right, how I saved $6,427 on my utility bills last year. Fence contractors, give a report what most fence contractors don't want you to know or ask. Financial planning. Fitness is huge. Flooring is huge. Okay, again, check the area that you're in to make sure. But this falls under remodeling, and remodeling, as I'm finding, breaks down into many, many categories. Flooring is just one of them, and I'm recommending that you treat them separately. Florists, still doing very, very well. Here's a really excellent headline tip: how to give someone special everything they want in less than 10 minutes. Guys, this is good to target men, to get men into the florist shops. We don't want to spend the time, but we also want to show our love. Food, possible reports or painkiller headlines. Tired of fast food. Groupon is huge with food. Gardening is good. You can still go for gardening. Frugal gardening tips. This is not a favorite niche of mine, but if you get into mulch and you get into lawn care is huge. So you might want to move into the lawn care side of the gardening niche. You're going to be very safe if you go there. I'm going to go back. People pay a ridiculous amount for their lawns. I mean, I talked to Jonathan Mizell about a campaign that they did on the lawn and garden stuff. It was just really ridiculous how much money was being made. Golf, of course. Improve your golf swing. Anything golf, you're going to do well. Go for country clubs. These types of things. Graphic design. 3 things you should know before you trusting your company's logo shirts to just any promotional clothing supplier. It's a great headline. You probably want to show a graphic designs firm, compare their cruddy opt-in forms to the ones you're going to build them. Gourmet food delivery. Possible reports. After a long day, the last thing I want to do is cook. That was a great campaign that Carl successfully used, targeting women and work-at-home moms, or professional moms who retired. and exhausted. So he found the questions behind the pain, and realized who he was targeting, and had a hit campaign. Let's just order out, you know? I mean, how exhausted can you be sometimes when you're trying to run your business or your professional mom? He found the pain and he spoke to it and he converted leads. You can pass these leads back right onto the gourmet food delivery companies. Hair salons, this is huge. I have personal experience with this. I found myself in a hair salon once. I was actually getting my hair cut there. And the conversation immediately went to Groupon. I mean, it was amazing. Like, despite myself, I couldn't not go there. It's almost too easy with hair salons, okay? I know Sue will tell you the same thing. But here's some punchlines you can use. But every hair salon, every hairdresser is different. And keep in mind that hairdressers are kind of interesting. They're either independent contractors or they're part of a franchise. And it's the independents that really, really need your help. Handyman, possible. Code of ethics and competency is huge with handyman. Any kind of remodeling, any kind of contractors, use those code of ethics, but make sure that you separate out the handyman from the contractor. That's something I did not know. They're different. Health is always going to be there. Supplement landing page, prescription drugs. I mean, health is so huge that I would have to have taken an entire other video, another hour just to go through it. So I decided to not break it down. Diet, there's too many things that fall under health, and health care is separate from health. Discover profits that lie hidden in your medical practice. This is if you were targeting a medical practice as far as wanting to sell leads back to them. Discover the 3 most important things doctors look for. Your grandfather's laughter, a conversation with a friend about regular checkups. There's all kinds of headlines that you can use to ensure the conversion. Hearing aids, possible reports or painkiller headlines. One of the sample campaigns that Carl successfully ran was, I was told I have nerve deafness and hearing aids can't help me. This was about a hearing aid technology that a good portion of the time they actually could help someone. Home-based business. I would treat this one very carefully. As you can probably imagine, many of you watching this are familiar with this industry. Be very, very careful with it. MLM was also another category that Carl used. I actually left it out of this presentation because of the complexity of that industry. I worked in it early on, and it's very, very good for certain kinds of markets, but because it's so, how shall I say, biz-op oriented, I would like to leave it in a separate category so that you handle it just a little bit differently, and we can talk about that if any of you have an interest. Home builders, possible reports, you can show them. The home builders are a particular type of service industry, and there's a lot of subcategories to it. Home inspectors. Home inspection survey questions is one of the ways that you can pull in leads for that. Home remodeling. Possible reports or painkiller headlines. If you want your home remodeled, call any remodeling company. This is a standard headline. If you want it done with blah, 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 unique selling position, call us. And you can apply that headline to any one of the niches and the squeeze pages that you're creating, okay? Hotels. Be a little cautious with this one because hotels.com and travel.com and all the other services are really, really moving to syndicate and disintermediate the leads by booking them. And a lot of hotels are signing up for the big services. Doesn't mean that you can't compete with them. You can offer unique value. I would just say that there's a lot of other industries that don't have those kinds of services that you'd be more profitable in. HVAC. Code of ethics. In other words, skills and training of the engineers and the electricians. Identity theft. Very popular. Insurance. A little bit careful with this one. It's kind of, again, like hotels with the services and Geico and all the comparison shopping technologies that would be a little bit expensive for you to set up and compete with. You might want to be careful and cautious with providing insurance leads. Internet access. Possible reports, service provider goofs, people who are happy with turtle slow dial-up internet. Depends, be really careful with this one because you have a lot of monopolies. And you might, like here locally we have Cox Cable. I'm not going to try to provide leads to Cox Cable. You want to go, if you're in a ma and pa, like smaller area where there's a few competing providers, you might think about providing leads to them. But again, be careful with this one because this is not something that I would immediately look to. Internet marketing is always around because that's kind of what you're doing. And there might be joint ventures and or services for leads that you can provide when you get really good to services with people that are trying to do exactly what you're doing, or more focused on general online marketing of services. Investing services, and that also means financial planners. IT services, very, very popular right now. Very, very rich market. Jewelers, very, very rich market. It's not doing as well as it is in a boom, but remember, when there's a recession or maybe not a booming economy, they need you even more. So this is one of the things that you need to realize, that you can go in there most of the time, completely transform the headlines or the painkiller attraction. Most jewelers have terrible marketing, so you can just go in there pretty easily, create some FAQs and generate some doubt and provide the solution on your copy and pull those leads and sell those leads in to jewelers. Landscaping, okay. It depends. Landscaping, there's a lot more money in it than you think. I have been surprised by some landscaping clients that I've had over the last 2 years, how much money they actually make. Good landscaping service is doing very, very well, and they need more clients. Lasik surgery. It was very, very popular a couple of years ago, and has become, it's still incredibly lucrative, and there's plenty of money for advertising. Try to find an area that's like outside of LA, or there's major conglomerates and associations that take over those services because of how much money there is in big cities. But you can definitely do well in surrounding areas. And now if you're getting a massive global directory like Matt's doing for the UK, or you're at the level where you're going to create a national directory of local listings, which Sue can show you how to do, that would be something you could definitely do. Laundry is always going to be here, you guys. You can always sell leads to laundromats, okay? And they're pretty easy to acquire. Magazines, I'm going to shy away from this one. This is one of the things that my mentor had done successfully. Somebody, or the consultant that I use to find out what's happening in the local industries and what's popular. He had a magazine headline. It's a fun magazine teachers were never meant to read. So it's kind of a contrarian headline. You might find a local magazine or a local news stand that needs leads to pick up the magazine, or, so this is kind of how you would approach that. Property managers and maintenance, huge, not going away. And they're a real headache. When I say headache, I mean it's a real pain. When somebody needs a property manager, they really, really need one. Some headlines are, do you really want a fly-by-night maintenance company? Sue owns real estate, and I've watched through the years some of the pains she's experienced through needing a property manager, and when she comes across the bad one. So you want to really make sure that you generate great reports, and the pain in the industry is pretty huge. Provide the leads. Manufacturers. Marriage counseling, very, very popular. Offer a free report on the website. Religion, ministry, very, very lucrative. And it really does depend on the kind of church. There's a lot of very progressive churches that are doing marketing in unique ways. Perry Marshall actually did a pretty amazing campaign for a church that I read about in his white paper book, which is probably one of the best internet marketing books ever written on just general everything. Possible reports painkiller. We have created what we consider to be the easiest way for people to find your church. This is a type of headline positioning. And the rest of the line you can't see here is, take 60 seconds to tell us if you agree. Okay, that's a really innovative headline, and it works across multiple niches. Churches will buy your leads if they're a more progressive church. It really depends on if the church is large enough to have a marketing department and if it's within the policy. Mortgage brokers, of course, huge. Moving companies, huge. They're still thriving. Musician, huge. Music shops are great to work with. I worked with a music shop in Hawaii, and I also work with another musician in Hawaii who has done some consulting with me. I'm a musician personally, so I have a high amount of empathy for this particular niche, and so that's you can do free reports. I recommend in this industry, do reports on how to play. Most of the time when somebody picks up the phone to call a music shop, they're wanting to learn harmonica in 3 minutes or less. One of my clients makes a lot of money selling a product on how to learn the harmonica in 4 days. But he could also run a music shop and do really, really well. how to learn guitar, all the stuff that the websites that sell guitar lessons and even ClickBank products do, a music shop can do locally. So use those types of ClickBank reports to acquire leads. I know it's contrarian, but boy does it work. Also, tablature for guitar players will attract huge amounts of leads and make people aware that the local store exists, and you can pass those leads right on to the music shop. Office furniture is always going to be around. I was surprised that office furniture is still doing well, but it's not that they're doing really, really well, it's that they just really need help. So they need to acquire leads, and they'll hire you in a heartbeat. Painters, okay, this is again falling under remodeling and painting. 3 fairy tales you'll hear from painting contractors was a very successful headline that was run. Personal development, physical therapist. Piano sales, they really need help. I mean, pianos are tough. And I was surprised to hear how they'll try. I think part of it is because they're such a high-end market. And I don't think that their online presence is really super refined in most areas. So you have an opportunity of making it quite a bit more for a lead. And you might want to take a look at that in your area. Plumbers, huge. Printing companies. I could spend a lot of time getting into printing companies, but I'm trying to get Carl on a call to speak to you directly about this, because printing company is one of the #1 potential joint ventures I would recommend for Matt's local business model. When you understand how to communicate and create joint ventures with your local print company, you can really kind of write your own check, because it's a hub for so many types of things coming through their front door. Propane, that's a small little niche, a little cash cow that if you know how to work it, they're terrible marketers. Real estate, of course, I'm not even going to get into it. Here's some headlines. Again, you have this slideshow to look at after the video. Rental equipment, so you can go through it at your own pace. Restaurants, of course. Restaurants, keep in mind that you're competing with things like Yelp and Groupon. I probably wouldn't get into the restaurant business without some kind of Groupon in, unless it was a friend or maybe a higher end restaurant. And if I knew the owner, and I have known the owners of restaurants that I've helped create leads for in Wisconsin Dells and everywhere else. Retail. Gift shop owners. Eliminate the risk of carrying new products. Okay, these types of things. How to do all your sport fan shopping in 30 minutes or less. Retail products. Roofing contractors. SEO firms. You know, even if you are an SEO firm, they still need your services. Hopefully you're better at acquiring leads than they are. Okay, here's some headlines that worked. Service repair. Shipping. Shoe sales. Yep, shoe sales are doing well. Small business. Snow removal. Sports equipment. Steel framing supply. To something I did not know about. They'll really be receptive to buying leads. Storage. Possible reports. Okay, Sunrooms is a little sweet niche that I did not know about. And it's probably going to depend on where you live, but I don't know much about this. So just look into it. Supplements. Now, this is interesting. This is one of my favorites, and I'm going to say because it is not, I want to clarify, it's not whole food, it's not organic. It's those shops that carry every kind of energy drink and power and weightlifting protein, whey protein, and all these different things. Supplements are standalone, and they're different from raw foods and organic, okay? And they will buy leads from you if you find somebody in the organization who can make that decision. The franchises like GNC and the rest, they're a little bit harder to deal with. But if you have a local supplement shop, they will definitely work with you, and it's great because you can use a lot of the skills that you've learned in the BizOp and the MLM industry to acquire leads for them. Swimming pools, huge. I actually knew a swimming pool company owner that I hung out with at the SEO conferences. Learned a lot about that industry. The free quotes is really one of the ways that he liked to acquire leads for swim pool estimates. Tanning centers. Oh, I'm going to go back to this. I don't want to slide over that. It's really, really valuable when you get a lead that converts. So make sure that, I don't have experience with pulling leads into this industry, but just make sure you get good money for swimming pool sale leads. Tanning centers, possible reports, taxes. Go to tax firms. I don't recommend the big franchises. They have their own marketing, but go for local, small town. Therapists of any kind. It's a huge topic. Tire sales. Possible reports for a local tire shop, not the big, Firestone franchises, but the small business owner. The average tire distributor has 4 different middlemen. This is telling you, about the big franchises. You can actually use that to help the smaller tire company, and they'll buy the leads from you. Luxury car owners. Training and consulting. Possible reports and painkiller would be, I have before and after here. Training and consulting can cover the gamut. You can look up any kind of consultant or anyone across your desk, and anyone who comes into your office or anybody who emails you or anyone that you're working with or know or friends who is a consultant, an expert, or who does any kind of training. And really, if they do it at the local level, you have all the tools with what we're showing you to really sell leads to them. Just offer a cut. If they don't have affiliate, offer to get to give them the leads for a cut. And if they don't have an affiliate program, then you could talk to them about making one, or you could just have them buy the leads directly. Travel. Trucking industry is another industry I'm familiar with. It's a huge amount of money in it, and they will buy leads if you can show them, not the big conglomerates again, but if you can show them that you have ways of pulling in the leads and you walk in the door with those leads, they're going to buy them from you. If you talk to the right person. Just keep in mind that you got to get past the secretary, and you got to get to somebody who actually, who can actually talk to you about what it is that you're doing. I used to work in that industry, so I know about that. Veterinary. Okay, possible reports or painkiller headlines for veterinaries. 3 critical characteristics to demand from a veterinarian. These are all great lead squeeze pages for those industries. Okay, so that's all of them. Oh, there's more. Video game stores, possible reports or painkiller headlines, step-by-step World of Warcraft instructions from a record holder. Yeah, you can acquire leads at the local level for video game stores, and the video game stores will buy them based on zip code from you, so that you can, so that they can get more customers. And interestingly enough, you use the same kind of things that you would use for digital products like ClickBank and the rest to pull them into a local store, right? So it's pretty cool. You can just use a lot what you've learned in the affiliate space if you have that. Water systems, huge. I'm actually in that industry. Some of you know I am very much into clean water, and I think it's a very, very profitable macro trend. Those companies who offer to come and install water systems will buy those leads for you. I know from direct experience they'll pay well for them. Okay. Water sports. These are more recreational. This is about one of those those ski water machines, the skidoo water, the kind of the mini motorboats. You can obviously tell that I don't spend a lot of time in personal watercraft accessory industry, but there's huge amounts of money in that because it's a higher end market, and I haven't actually sold leads to that market myself, so I can't speak to how to negotiate a deal with them. But just try some of the more local firms. We had a lot of them in Wisconsin Dells when Sue and I had an office in the Dells area around Tommy Bartlett's water shop, and I actually had clients in those industries, but I wasn't selling them leads, I was selling them advertising space. And they were really friendly and amicable bunch. So I know a lot more now than I knew when I was working with them back then, and I know that they would have purchased leads right off of me. Okay, any of the water sports companies around the Dells. So that's something for you to really consider. Motorboats, bass boats. If you can acquire buyers and or interested parties, they will buy them from you. Just make sure they're not big conglomerates. Make sure that they're somebody that you can actually talk to on the ground. And actually, if an organization is competing against big chains that have massive advertising budgets, they're more likely to hire you because they need all the leads they can get. Okay. I want to give a special thanks to Carl Bryan, and he's a personal mentor when it comes to me clarifying. If I have any doubts about local business offline marketing, I will ask him. I'll be introducing more topics around him later on in this course. I've been reading his stuff for quite a while now, and this is where I get a lot of the ideas. One of the things you'll notice that I did leave off is yoga, and I've considered that, I put that under fitness and gyms and all those things that we covered, because sometimes I get asked that. I am acquiring leads pretty much daily in the yoga industry with a new type of yoga product, and I do that through yoga injuries. as a website about yoga injuries that pulls in leads very regularly, and I position my client against yoga injuries and how those yoga injuries happen and how the yoga that she uses prevents, because she's a yoga injury prevention expert. It's been one of the it's been one of the easiest ways I've ever acquired leads, and she pulls them in all day long because that's literally the essence of the pain. You want to do that in every single industry that you're in. Find the pain behind the question, the pain behind the need for the product or service, and then redistribute those leads based on the model that Matt, Sue, and I are showing you. Hope that gives you a little bit of help. And stay within these parameters if you're uncertain about how to research a local market, and you're going to be fine. Russell Wright from Network Empire and Local Leads Empire, signing off.